Hello everybody, and welcome to Let's Play Command Mission Beyond Overlord, Carentan Operation. So this is battle number 8 I believe, and it's raining and it's dark. Yeah, and then just whole mess of troops as they were kicked out of Carentan in battle number 7. Yeah, just wondering what these all empty expenses are all about, and well, you will see. I try to make use of this finally after some tips and some of my premonition of what it is all about, especially those empty zones of restricted zones where I cannot deploy my troops. So this is what we have, and yeah, there's a whole mess of things, a mess of men and armor. Need to organize these guys in proper order, well, as best as I can. Yeah, it's been rather complicated with all these different troops and men. I think this is probably the largest group of people, soldiers that I had at my disposal, and sometimes I forget about some of the guys on the fringes and take care to make use of all their abilities, like smoking, smoke rounds and scouting and stuff like that. Not to mention the vehicles, the armor that really didn't feature prominently, so I hope to present them or put them a bit forward in this particular attempt. So this is what we have. Yeah, so we are just supposed to enter directly into Carentan, no problems with that. And this time it's a bit different as I deployed some troops in the marsh. I've been burned by German defenses located in the marsh, so try to put some troops there as well to see if we can make use of this particular tract of land that is going to play a really important role because you can see all around them. And I put some men there with machine guns and I think one bazooka guy, mostly all troops. And there's a little land connection to the rest of the map, but yeah, it's all closed all around us, the river and whatnot. And I think I can move along the marsh as well to keep abreast of the rest of the troops here. That is just pressed right up against the deployment zone boundaries. Is poised to capture the houses once again. So déjà vu as we try to enter the town in order and expand from there and find any German resistance therein or outside the town. Yeah, some of the artillery spotters are also outside, so it's like battle number 7. And here is a railway. We don't really want to use it because I thought that it was too far, so we just want to keep everybody close together with dwindling man and resources. Yeah, but then for this battle, I thought that since we almost at the end of the map, I thought that maybe I could skip this rather treacherous condition, this night battle present with rain and whatnot, and go straight into day, into the final battle. Yeah, I skip night combat and go right into the morning, but the rain has not stopped, and you can check the ground condition finally changed from dry to damp, so the rain itself is not that hard, but it has been raining for some time, so finally it's damp, and I think it's going to make our progress a bit slow, but it's not as bad as the ground being wet. Only difference is I gained some, it looks like I gained some a little bit of sliver of territory from the Germans. It seems really strange how it all works out. Yeah, I'm more closer to the these different splotches of cover that I can use. Also, I gained some ground here as well. So I think the deployment is going to play a really important role. Well, even if you want to skip the combat, I think you should deploy as if you're going to go to combat in that particular battle, because I think it's going to calculate based on how your troops are deployed, and it's going to give you or take away some territory. If you just put and do not take care to deploy the troops, then I think it might just give the enemy a bit more ground. We don't want that. So yeah, even though you're gonna skip that night battle, I think I did right by this operation by deploying all the troops anyways. So here I decided to put some tanks finally and use the open ground to progress and try to outflank any Germans is about to counterattack into Carentan. That's my thought anyways. I thought the Germans would be willing to meet us in the town once again. But from the last battle, I did destroy a whole lot of their guns and men, so I didn't receive any reinforcement during the night. Then yeah, I think there would be strapped for men, so I think I could spare some more troops for the march. Yeah, so this is basically right up against the deployment zone, and just going to take the building and see what happens. Just like the last time, I want to rush into buildings and take control of the town and then expand and see what I can find outside the town. I think the top toward, the direction toward the top of the screen is actually the south, and closer to us it's actually north direction, so we are traveling towards south. Yeah, so this is the combination of different troops, men and armament, and looks like they all have dug themselves in, which is pretty useful. But for most of these guys we have to move, so we've abandoned the foxholes and the holes that they dug themselves, so it's unfortunate. I think they do it regardless, just a good starting position where they are, especially when they're under cover. The whole foxhole is going to give them a whole lot more defensive advantage. And here I'm trying to move these guys to the next cover to be closer to the bridge just ahead of us. Well, not just ahead, but that we can cover. Yeah, so let's see what happens in this particular formation, whether that left flank is going to serve us well. And this is probably part of the course. We are entering Carentan. Yeah, that's what's going to happen in the next few turns. And the artillery spotters, same position. Two of them have not found their target, or is not even giving the artillery, I think, a same quantum long that it coordinates. But these guys are trying to guess. Well, I'm trying to guess where the enemy might be, so I'm just trying to send artillery toward where I think the enemy is going to come, along that road, along the highway that stretches from the town, and also toward that eastern side. Yeah, so this is rather weird because I think it's a bug. This is not really an artillery spotter unit, but it was targeting the same place as my artillery spotter anyways. But I think it corrected itself. Alright, so turn 1, just traveling, flying for Carentan once again, just preparing your place. Get 2 tanks having destroyed 2 battles prior by some mysterious circumstances. I don't know exactly what happened. Maybe it just broke down, or maybe there was a gun that targeted it. I couldn't identify because of the worsening conditions. But it was weird and added to some stress. I couldn't really find out what happened. If I could open the map, I'd check it out, but I don't think I can open the map without causing some kind of crash, so yeah, I don't know exactly what destroyed those 2 tanks, one by one after the other. Alright, entering the church, the machine gun. I don't know exactly. I don't know whether that is actually the correct way of transporting a machine gun, but yeah, up against their shoulder. Alright, so no encounter so far. The left flank did not move at all right now. So turn 2, just continuing our progress. The left flank is moving slightly. I think I'm gonna go and check it out. Yeah, these guys really haven't made their way across. It's kind of slow. Some of them are just moving, not sneaking. I don't know whether the sneaking actually makes any difference. I guess it makes them be more alert, I guess. Also reduce the exposure that they give up. They're quieter, potentially. But I guess entering Carentan like this, just might as well move, because most their, on retrospect, most of their actions are covered by the buildings. Yeah, and I'm trying to move some of these mortar guys up. And I have lost a lot of mortar units along the way in this operation. One thing that I need to improve on, if I were to develop my skills or improve my play. Yeah, exactly, figure out how it works. I mean, I get the main idea. Yeah, so this is the left flank trying to move into the lower ground near the river. Has like a lower elevation, so might as well try to see if we can sneak along the river, just like the Germans did, and avoided some unneeded attention as we move up along with the tanks. I'm more confident in that position because the tanks are already having a pretty good field of view there. Yeah, it's open ground, so it can move unheeded or unobstructed. Yeah, so all this, I hear some machine gun, but all this movement all along the front, some of them have already entered the first building. I guess these guys are moving instead of sneaking, so the bazookas and other heavy machine gun guys are arriving first, which is not really ideal. But yeah, I just take whatever they give me, because I don't expect the Germans to appear. Oh yeah, finally, yeah, some action here, some machine gun. And here is that owner of the machine gun. Yeah, that big Panzer 4, it seems. Yeah, Panzer 4, question mark. So we don't really know exactly what this is, but it's a tank. Either Stuk 3G or Panzer 4. Panzer 4 is, I don't think we have seen yet in this operation. Yeah. So a tank appears, and finally, as you can see, the tanks also spur into action. Finally, there's no more hiding, no more preserving the tanks. They just go, full on. Although I only 3 tanks on that side and 5 here. Yeah, so similar movement into Carentan, and here we are trying to scramble into cover because the tank's range of fire is directly pointed at this particular section of the map. Yeah, as you can see, tanks now loving its high explosive shell, and we are running as fast as we can in the marsh, which is not really a good thing. And this machine gun is firing, I guess, to try to direct its attention away from that unfortunate troops. And alright, so artillery started landing. I guess I did guess, pretty much where the Germans will first appear, but just a tank, and I don't think artillery is that effective against tanks unless it's a really accurate shot. This high explosive fire doesn't really affect it. They need some armor piercing stuff, and I guess it can rattle and shake the tank's crew, but not really destroy the tank itself. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it did affect the tank enough that it buttons up, but in terms of damage, I don't think it really didn't scratch it. But artillery is landing pretty furiously, blanketing that area. So if any infantry follow the tank, they might be in trouble. Yeah, so Syria artillery spotters are targeting that area, and I think more closely now, and there's an extra troop that was identified beside the tank. And yeah, so left flank, we are moving into position to fight off that latest unit, the enemy, while the infantry is trying to slink along the river. They're trying to see if it can close the distance. I think there was a berserker unit tagging along, yeah, but I think it's a bit late to be a factor. And moving all these guys in trouble. They need to get into the cover as fast as possible. I think marsh is a pretty decent cover, but it's only just a fair bit better than the wheat build, so not that great. It's just decent, I guess. But you would like to, you know, get yourself into brush or something if it's nearby. And these guys all set up already, setting up a perimeter and watching over the other guys moving up and taking other buildings in Carentan. So pretty good progress into the town. Wish I could have spared some more troops into left flank, but it is rather curious pattern of artillery fire, rather accurate in terms of how it all formed in a line. Yeah, tanks still targeting that area in the marsh, and German artillery now landing. Oh, there was a pretty big shot. Yeah, landing our troops here, trying to dissuade the rear element from entering the town. And tanks, and I think there's a Halftrack finally appeared, made an appearance, shooting at the guys in the town. And the tank had taken notice of the Halftrack, and it missed with its first shot. So the Halftrack is now taking notice of that, and is moving back pretty fast away from the tanks. And the German artillery still raking these guys who's not fortunate enough to enter into the latest cover. And this guy, as I said, is furiously backtracking and misses. Oh, that was pretty close call there with the artillery shell just landing behind the Halftrack. And since there's no action from them, they have disappeared from our direct view. And this guy's crawling in the marsh. I mean, if you could imagine, crawling is itself a rather laborious task, but in the marsh, definitely adds to the slowness of everything. Yeah, so we are trying to get moving now into Carentan as fast as possible. Yeah, it's just adding to the anxiety of what to expect, and also the artillery striking our rear means that we just need to push forward and take the rest of the town before the time is up, before the Germans themselves try to cross the bridge. And I'm sure that there is some German infantry following those two armors, so yeah, checking out some of the coverage of machine gun fire. It's decent and is able to cover for us as we move to the rest of Carentan. And the tanks here have not really moved yet, but I think they're going to start revving their engines soon. And on the right side, we try to travel there, the road where the German guns were situated in the two battles prior. Yeah, so here most of the unit have made into the cover, but there's still some troops out of position. And these guys want to get to that strip of land where there's some tall pines. Yeah, tall pines are pretty great. I think it will withstand some machine gun fire. And the artillery is still training its guns, and the rightmost artillery spotter have painted its sight onto the bridge itself. Yeah, we have found additional German infantry and their nest in the cover that we are initially trying to head toward, but well, I mean, that's not going to happen now. German artillery landing still in the marsh. It's still very problematic. Very difficult for our troops there, yeah. And finally, the tanks are moving to challenge the Panzer and these guys who are in foxholes themselves. So they were deployed there. So their deployment zone was pretty far up, just meeting us in the marsh. And these guys, yeah, really, they're in quagmire between the marsh and the rain of fire. Yeah, multiple German units identified now. They start firing and not hiding anymore. And tanks in this half-track. Half-track's making, well, I mean, it's moving forward for some reason, maybe because of the artillery that is landing behind it. But yeah, I mean, it was not a good decision for it. Or as far as our troops are concerned, it was the right decision because now we are able to target it and subsequently destroy it. German artillery, yeah, really taking a toll on our troops. These guys are trying to run away from the cover that I set the direction toward into the marsh, and it really couldn't move even though it was trying to run. And unfortunately the artillery shell landed to knock it off, disable it, and yeah, eliminate the unit. I think there was only one person unit though, one of the HQ unit that was suffering from some prior casualties, so it's not a big loss, but still it's a loss nonetheless. And finally the tanks are moving. Yeah, tanks are trying to move maybe toward the open field, take advantage of the open field there, or use the Straits of Carentan. And these two units are the ones that were knocked out, eliminated in the last turn. One was a mortar unit that I was trying to bring up against the Germans, as I could identify them in the marsh and beyond. Was tagging along, but it was too slow in the marsh, and I'm not able to make it. Yeah, and now we are able to challenge the Panzer. Still don't know exactly why it is, but by now I think it is, yeah, it's definitely something that can kill the Shermans, so need to be very careful and aim at it with all the units that we can bring. I think I could have brought a few more Sherman, like 2 more Sherman toward the left side. Could have been better if we did that, because that's where the action is now. Battle number 7 was a pretty good indicator of where the Germans were coming from, and I didn't really take notice. I mean, I did take notice enough to bring 3 tanks here, but it was not really enough. And the first tank had a pretty good, well, not pretty good shot, and the Panzer IV, yeah, Panzer IV doesn't miss with its next shot. Obviously, it's a veteran unit, very experienced, and if you give them one, sliver of opportunity, they're going to make the most of it. And the second go at the Panzer now, and was able to destroy it, but with its last shot that was just fired before it was knocked out, my Sherman was also targeted fairly well, and now here is another half-track arriving, and we discovered that one HQ unit is trying to hold them off, but yeah, it is under duress in the heavy machine gun fire. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, that exchange of fire could have gone either way. I'm kind of glad that I got that tank out of the way, but just too bad that with its last second shot, basically millisecond shot, it was able to knock our own tank off. It just scored its first kill. So yeah, but I take it. I destroyed 2 of their armor, one being half-track. For our own 2 tanks, and I don't know whether this is going to really tip the balance for anybody's favor, but I'm trying to use the Sherman now to help the infantry and Unfortunately, most of the options that I have is limited in the fact that there's a big forest between the Sherman and the Halftracks, so I need to move pretty fast or reverse, and then try to go around the forest and then deal with those Halftrack. Well, infantry can move pretty fast, so we're first moving them and trying to add to the strength instead of running away. And since the tank is gone, now these guys are more or less, these guys are more or less stabilized and rested. Of course, there is still that German artillery that could target them. Yeah, and this is an engineer unit. I'm trying to use the engineer unit to see if they can discover any mines along the way. So I'm just tracking them all the way up to the southern end of Carentan, where the tanks will most likely to use along, traveling within the town. So I'm trying to use the, engineers to be a bit of a guide for the tanks and see if we can identify any mines, because in the last, not last battle, but battle number 7, there was some suspected anti-tech mines that destroyed Shermans. Alright, so turn number 7, we have seen some heavy artillery fire. I think it's going to continue, especially on our end. And we want to drive these Germans out first, but this HQ unit is trying to hold the half-track off, all 3 of them, but it's kind of in trouble right now. On the right side, the Sherman is starting to move, finally. Mindful of the rail tracks because it's able to immobilize any tanks that can get caught. The German unit finally crosses the bridge, seems, and we are ready for it. Yeah, a lot of machine guns and men are heading that direction to overwhelm anybody who's going to cross the bridge, challenge us in Carentan. And this guy goes into the cover, I think, or actually aims to rush us or something, but there are a multitude of machine guns poised to get it, train their sights on it. Yeah, this guy is finally been damaged. I think he lost two people in each unit, so he's taking cover. But Sherman is reversing into rescue, but I don't know exactly when it's going to arrive. Hopefully soon. Even reversing it's pretty fast though. Yeah, I thought that it's going to... I'm debating whether I need to turn and direct it to fast move first around the forest, but I think reverse is pretty good. It's fast enough. And there's an additional half track that appeared and apparently crossed the bridge. So there are some units appearing now that evaded our artillery and was able to cross the bridge. So we need to challenge it, these two units. And moving forward, especially on the right side, to try to cover and outflank these Germans as fast as possible. And we are also moving into the building closest to the enemy and see if we can overwhelm it with numbers. On the right flank, yeah, this is where the most movement is going to happen, hopefully. It's still raining, so I think the ground is getting wetter and wetter. Some holding action here, just shooting at them, and the tank is trying to take care of these three half tracks that is up, trying to rout us in the left flank. I don't exactly know where they arrived from, but they were deployed pretty close to those maze of hedgerows. And in the last battle number 7, they appeared too, but in the last turn, so it was precedent. It was a sign of things to come. This army of half-tracks. And they have a lot of half-tracks. They have a lot of half-tracks. I can identify already 5 of them. and there were some of them, you know, in battles prior to battle number 7, and here is a bazooka trying to knock one off. Well hidden, and fires its first shot, but miss. And he's being shot at, but no fear, the Sherman's here. And the Halftrack, it's not really shooting at anybody. I guess it cannot really identify anybody. Okay, so the Sherman is definitely able to shoot, and these guys are in chaos, don't know what to do, crashing into each other, and finally one is knocked out. And the second one is, they are knocked out by the bazooka, pretty good. It was a rather easy target, I guess. Slowly, because it was blocked from reversing by one of the units that already knocked out. And finally, yeah, it's the last one is knocked out pretty easily. Yeah, so it was rather quick, made a really quick work of those Halftrack with the tank. The strength of the Sherman in certain cases. Against German Panzers, of course, it is overmatched in most cases, but against these Halftracks, it can more than do the job. And it basically saved our left flank, this lone Sherman, so I'm pretty happy with that. And with the Halftrack knocked out, we believe that we got most of the German armor from the left side, and he's trying to move along the forest into what seems to be a highway heading east. I don't know where that actually heads. Maybe St. Lo or something, I don't know. Yeah, that was Panzer, I think that was Panzer 4 knocked out. And we already destroyed 3 Halftracks, and this is another one that appeared, but was not shooting, was not really active, just overlooking other German infantry trying to enter Carentan in vain. And the tanks are following the engineer, still trying to make its way across. So German artillery has subsided, but I'm sure that more will come. This guy is knocked out. Alright, so we made some progress. We can advance and try to check whether we can identify more Germans, like that guy on the far side of the street, also knocked out with the ponderance of fire. This guy slowly making his trek. Yeah. Finally, with the artillery subsiding, and we'll make our way to bolster our position. And this guy, another one identified. So it says it's infantry, of course. I mean, it's just a German soldier that was just identified. But actually, it's a mortar, and is really quickly taken out by one of the Shermans. So, good riddance. Yeah, in the last battle number 7, that is, we had a lot of trouble dealing with the guns there, but now it's just a single mortar unit that we knocked it up pretty fast. Alright, so this guy is a mortar guy, mortar crew running for its life. I think it's trying to head and cross the bridge or something and regroup. But there's just a lot of soldiers heading the to the same direction, so should have maybe ran the other way, or even get out of the map, which is good for us. Which means that they retired from the map. Yeah, which is actually worth twice the point. I read that in the manual. Twice the point as one they would be eliminated normally. So I mean, if they just go out of the map and resign, then yeah, it's all the more points for us. So turn number 10. Yeah, we are changing the artillery spotting, I think, if we have not done that in the last turn. We are targeting to see whether we can eliminate some Germans on this side of the river. I think that they crossed the river in mass, or not in mass, but many of them have crossed already and is setting up and being a nuisance. as we try to cross the bridge ourselves. It could be helpful if we get them before their infantry gets to fight them. And of course there is that Halftracks still around, so we need to take care of it, hopefully before the tanks arrive. So there's some guys running. And this guy, like I said, is trying to get out, has had enough, he's running off the map. And it has not. It just stopped on the edge of the map. Alright. Yeah, and these guys are trying to move. Oh yeah, finally German artillery is, I don't know, it's really accurate it seems, right? It seems really accurate just landing on top of this guy. But this guy is in the marsh, so, oh, okay, so we found the Panzer team. Now, this guy, I remember battle number 7, the Panzer guy that was in the marsh cover was able to knock one Sherman off across the river, so this would have not been different, and would have targeted this. And he was trying to cross the bridge all the way across. Yeah, or, in the open ground across the river. Yeah, German artillery now acting up once again. Shooting right in the center of the town. Really, really good targets here, especially targeting our tanks, no less. Very problematic. And wow, okay, so that bazooka managed to hit a MG, so it's pulled the teeth out of the lion, so to speak. But the trailing, some kind of a flame or propulsion that is trailing the bazooka round, create enough heat that is now set the house aflame. So I have seen everything now. I mean, never expected the bazooka round to cause, set fire to a building, but yeah, it happened. I mean, it was damaged to begin with, but yeah, I didn't expect it. Yeah, so new Panzer team is getting all the welcome that we can give to such unit, and we are trying to move across the forest to see whether we can identify more Germans along the way with the armor support. And these guys are also trying to support our cause as we try to cross the bridge. But the German artillery is not going to make it easy. Yeah, Bazooka's still targeting that half-track, but I mean, they have to get out of the house first because it's fire and I think it's going to collapse imminently. One artillery shot, one errant German artillery, well, not errant but well-placed German artillery shell is going to destroy the entire house. So it's not good. But then infantry is able to take care of it with its rifle grenade. It really, I mean, that's probably the most accurate shot from the rifle grenade that I've seen. I mean, it's a short distance, around 40 meters, but still it's pretty impressive. And this guy running away, finally we got them out of the cover into another cover. And this Panzer team, these guys are throwing grenade and everything. Yeah, and he's finally eliminated. So there are a lot of anti-tank teams on the German side, it seems, in this operation. I think there are around 6 or 7. And if they receive the reinforcement, even more. So they were prepared for our Shermans in terms of the makeup of their forces. Not to mention the Split 3 and all the other submarine guns. Oh, okay, got hit, but no big damage. Just buttoned up. Yeah, these mortar fires are clearly deterring our units from moving. Okay, direct hit. Top was hit, but no serious damage. That was pretty surprising. I thought the slightest touch would have combusted this Sherman into another firebox, but it was able to withstand that mortar. So, yeah, taking some heart that this artillery barrage is not that serious. It's not able to knock out a Sherman via direct hit, then yeah, it's not that serious. But I mean, in terms of its potential damage against infantry, definitely definitely lethal and devastating, but against tanks, yeah, we are pretty good, I guess. Yeah. And the engineer has made all the way across the town, so we can... I don't know exactly, the engineer is able to identify mines traversing along the road. Maybe he finds the mines, then it kind of stops on the road and do something to clear the mines. I don't think it just, automatically eliminated. But, I just wanted to check whether, if not the mines, then check whether the function of the engineer as a minesweeper works. So that's what I try to do, and I think, yeah, we'll be able to use the tanks and make it cross the bridge, hopefully. All these guys are making its way and also spreading out from Carentan to find the next cover. While in the left flank, we are still at the battle. The last remnant of German defenses we found. Yeah, it's really scant and remnant troops. And there's something that we discovered once again on the left side. Yeah, another half-track. Yeah, they fielded an army of half-tracks here. Definitely very effective against infantry. But fortunately, I have the Sherman. But unfortunately, I have moved my Sherman along with the troops, so it might have to make its way back real fast, like, in order to train its gun once again at this half-track, unfortunately. Yeah. And I don't know whether it was distracted by the guns, but it crashes right into the, destroyed half-tracks, and it slows it down for some reason. And it buttons up once again. I mean, it's in a hurry to go somewhere, but I don't know exactly where. Oh yeah, the German artillery is still striking the middle of the town as we try to move up, and this guy wisely takes cover and comes back. Oh, that was a pretty bad shot. Oh, that was a really bad shot, and there are a lot of shells falling. I don't know exactly how many of them there are, but they're out there, and they know we are coming. So unfortunately, there's some prying eyes that are well hidden that is able to identify our movement. Once again, I should have used some smoke if that was very, very difficult. But I mean, it just takes some time to identify where I put my mortar units, so I mostly forgot about those by this time, unfortunately. So that's something that I had to do to improve. We have definitely made use of some smoke, especially from these tanks not doing anything. If that were the case where my troops were being identified and targeted for artillery strikes. Yeah, tanks are moving all along, and I have to kind of thread a needle here because I cannot really reach the bridge without crossing first the railway, and I have a certain phobia about railway after that railway has knocked one of the tanks out. That's really strange and quite absurd, but that happened. And fortunately, the Sherman is able to target the half-track through the forest, so that's a really good situation for us. Alright, so adjusting the target a bit because now we are arriving for the region where I was targeting prior, so yeah, just ahead of our progress. And this guy quickly turns, finds the half-track, trains its gun, knocks it out, yeah, and continues on its own merry way. Yeah, so it was able to destroy 3 half-tracks. Never seen a Sherman of all tanks being such a force in any of the battles that I played. There was a Crusader in the Cajun Armageddon battle. Was pretty impressive for a while against the German tanks, but not the Sherman. Firefly was pretty fearsome too, especially in the where I had to battle Walter Whitman. Alright, so we find some Germans that were trying to ambush us as we go top the hill, but we are able to just steamroll them with grenades and whatnot that exploded a bit too late. Yeah, so we took care of the Germans waiting for us at the bridge. Now we have the bridge to our own. Yeah, we have the bridge now, and it's ready to cross. The German artillery keeps, keeps landing, so that is yeah, continuing development that we need to resist and, I guess, endure. On the left side, we found a crew possibly from the destroyed half-track. Ran into the forest for cover, but now we found them. Would this guy surrender with only one person left? I think, there's a distinct possibility. There's infantry here as well, 2 units, one hidden, one identified to be an infantry. And the unit that I eliminated was a platoon headquarters guy, a pretty high value unit, leading to further, drop in their morale. Yeah, these tanks are kind of standing idle to see whether the lead tank is able to safely cross the rail tracks. Yeah, it's pretty difficult because the entire section of the road has been pulverized into rubble, so you cannot cross there. The AI does a fairly good job. If you just give them a location where I want to direct the unit to, it calculates the distance and the pathway, but it's not that efficient. So if you give them an order manually, then they can sort of see what you want to do and then follow it to a T, which is what I prefer, even though it takes some time. Alright, so moment of truth. Would this tank be able to cross the rail tracks? Well, it does it really slowly. Yeah, it knows what the stakes are. And I think he's able to cross it. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, with that additional German border falling in that exact location where it crossed into. German artillery spotter in this battle is really being a pain in the, pain in the behind. They're really accurate and they're really opportunistic, and they're able to just find. I mean, I have troops all over the place, but they're able to find its targets pretty well and very fast. I think it's also tracking, adjusting its artillery spotting to track our movement too, so it's a very difficult proposition to evade it. Evade it well. Alright, so turn number 15, we are drawing to a close of this operation, bill number 9. After destroying the half-track, yeah, we need to take care of this last guy who is running out in the open. But the German units are known to be very slippery in this case, and is able to just evade all fire and able to survive the next battle. And some of these guys are eliminated from the half-track, and tanks, yeah, finally crossing the bridge. There's some trucks in the north that have already been destroyed, possibly from the artillery fire. So it's really delicate, those trucks. Very delicate stuff. I wonder whether that is going to count toward the vehicles destroyed. I think it does. They need to protect their trucks as well. Yeah, so trucks remain, and this guy is being fired upon from all directions, but he's able to just run it out. Run everything out. Yeah, we are progressing basically untouched. Not even from the German border for artillery, it seems. Yeah, this guy's running and almost, well, I guess basically crashed into the house, but I need to remind you guys, this is actually larger representation, so it's, I think, 2 sizes larger than what it really looks like. So these soldiers and these vehicles are actually smaller, and it got hit. Alright, so eliminated. Yeah, so these tanks are actually far smaller than what it appears. It's like, looking at these units in the side mirror of your car. So yeah, whenever it crashes into buildings, it's actually not crashing into anything. It just looks that way. It's pretty funny. But yeah, it's really helpful sometimes, because it's easier, basically. I mean, these, tanks are kind of camouflaged against the green backdrop of this French countryside, so it's nice to have this size option. You can make it like really large and then make this, infantry. Oh, there's a new unit sound contact. Supposedly light armor, so you know what this is, right? You can guess what these are by all the vehicles that are already here. It could be another half-track, yeah. Yeah, so... And that is another town that I really didn't, pay any notice. I was just all the way down N13 toward Carentan through Saint Condemont. That was all that it was in this operation for me. Other players would have, done something different and made for far different operation or battles than what I have been presenting here in this LP. So that's the beauty of the game, really. I mean, even though you know exactly where the bunkers are, you gotta get prepared for any of the number of variables that might be different. Okay, so yeah, the tank is trying to cross into another railway, trying it to lock for the second time. But you see how the tank calculates its pathway. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, these guys are crashing into each other, like goading each other to go on across the rail. And as you can see, the tank is trying to cross, but apparently it's kind of blocked because the stretch of land that I sent it was actually blocked by the wood. So after it realizes it's not passable, it's not traversable by the tank, it kind of reversed and finding its own way to other pathways. So that's actually pretty smart. I was able to find on its own accord what to do to arrive at the direction that I sent it. Yeah, it's pretty dependable. And this guy's finally moving. Yeah, all of them crossing the rail, so no problems. No problems for these Shermans. Maybe these rails were not twisted heap of metal or something. Finally, yeah, okay, so yeah, that's the pathway that you was able to figure out, but obviously I have other different ideas for it to cross in a more efficient manner. And the Sherman on the left side is trying to meet that mysterious light armor that just appeared in the hedge. And I'm just giving these guys, artillery spotters, a target far removed toward the edge of the map as we try to enter into this space. And this guy is finally made into the highway and now is treading once again along some, I don't know exactly what highway this is, but it is a highway. It's N something, it's going somewhere, probably toward Khan. Yeah, so this is where I want to go to meet that, or identify the mysterious sound, what it is, what it belongs to. It's in the hedges, so I don't know exactly I can make it by the time the operation is over. Yeah, so we crossed the bridge. I guess it counts toward us capturing the bridge if we cross it. There's no flag over it, so I don't know exactly how it confirms that we got it under our territory. Yeah, the tank is doing a pretty good job in hurting the infantry. Yeah, so mysterious vehicle there. We are trying to meet it at the same time. If it was fitted with some kind of device that it can clear hedges, then maybe it could just run right through and surprise those units. But yeah, tank have entered the brush, which makes it really slow. And now this guy is... okay, so that was my artillery. Basically naval gun, so it's really powerful. Yeah, it's really inaccurate. Yeah, there's distinct possibility of a friendly fire if I keep at it. So in the next turn, turn 19, or turn 18, I basically remove that artillery spotting in that area and just give it a new place to coordinate, right in the area where we found that those units with the mysterious sound is coming from. Light armor, so I don't know, maybe it's Halftracks or Halftrack. I think it's Halftrack, like I mentioned. And here we are trying to spread out and see if we can get some more points, reduce some morale, and see if we can even get a surrender out of these guys. Last operation called Kenya Armageddon, I think I reduced the morale of the enemy troops to 0%, but they didn't surrender, so I don't think this will be... Yeah, I think it's going to be also the case here as well. Yeah, they're going to just fight to the bitter end and see. The tank have found the target. Alright, so they're all running. Okay, so one of them... Yeah, so machine gun unit surrenders. The machine gun unit is very liable to surrender for some reason. I think I have captured around 5 or 6 units so far, and most of them were machine gun units after they lost all of the men in their group except for one. And okay, so this is another hidden unit that I don't know whether it was trying to ambush us or not, or it was just hiding, but yeah, we have to find it. And yeah, it's pretty fortunate for us. Infantry says some kind of mortar or something. I don't think we have any infantry. Should you have, fired upon one of these guys here as they crossed the bridge, but they didn't. Here, one of them surrendered, and the other one is just trying to get cover. I don't know exactly what is going to be said between those two, but it will be very awkward if one unit just decide you surrender, then you're still trying to fight. Oh, found the truck finally. Yeah, so you see how delicate the truck is. Really delicate. And these guys are on the west side, no, east side, trying to go further up. But they're slowing down a bit because I want the other guys to catch up. And these guys are going as fast as possible to enter the hedge, the orchard or something, as well as a supporting infantry unit, and the artillery spotting is spotting there. Plenty of shells still. Should have used that a bit more liberally, I guess. I mean, I didn't really have any particular use for artillery this time because there's not a lot of units to target. One single shot from the infantry and this truck is knocked out. Maybe the infantry was a very good shot or something. Yeah, aimed it pretty well toward the engine and knocked it out, right out. Didn't even give it a chance to reverse out of its view. So more tanks cross the bridge and joining us in the highway. This guy is being shot at and exits the map. Yeah. So more points for us, I guess. Last turn of operation. I skipped the night battle, which was battle number 8 because it's raining and rather miserable, and I thought I could take on the Germans in the last battle. Since the map didn't expand, I thought that I was able to just do the same thing as battle number 7, and if I do it twice in battle number 8 and 9, then it would have been made for a rather kind of boring LP to close off this operation. So that was actually the artillery spotter. So that was responsible for bringing in some heavy fire upon either the marsh or the town itself. So I mean, I identified it a bit too late after it has expended all its shells, but I guess it's kind of good that I was able to identify it, and I think that's the third artillery spotter that I was able to eliminate in this operation. The Germans brought plenty of artillery support, and I think historically too, they definitely used a lot of their artillery against the Americans. especially on the bridges that were leading to Carentan. And Americans also used the artillery to finally open the way to Carentan, and there are some friendly fire casualties from that. Oh, okay, so we found another unit that was knocked out. It's, I think, Cubo wagon, the jeep equivalent. Has no weapons. I think it was just used to ferry around the artillery spotter. And this tank is slowing down a bit too much because it's entering the brush. Yeah. You don't want to get it knocked out or anything like that. Just need to slow down a bit. The ground is damp too, so yeah, it was a really wet operation. It's a really wet operation. I think aside from a few battles in the beginning, all the other battles were under rain, under some kind of a precipitation. So yeah, it was really wet, and it may have contributed to the general slowness of the progress here. But at least I reached Carentan, was able to capture it. And I wasn't able to find out exactly what the vehicle was, unfortunately. But that was it, folks. That was the Operation Carentan. So let's check the score. Allied tactical victory? Okay. Tactical victory is actually, I think, third victory condition, I think, in terms of score. So the best one is, I think, total victory, followed by the major, and this is tactical. I guess I'm happy with the result. Looks like I had caused more casualties than inflicted upon us, and the German artillery definitely did a number. Definitely, kind of brought up the score for the Germans. A lot of vehicles knocked out. Most of them were half-tracks though. So on our end, I think I lost 8 Shermans or 7 Shermans and 1 scout car, and a lot of mortars were lost because of I don't know exactly how to use them. Well, I know how to use them, but I need some practice, I guess, to use them better. I think I put them, like, I moved them and they were able to move ahead of the sneaking infantry and got hit. Sniped and everything, so yeah, it was not really good day for the border guys. Found another Cubo wagon that was hiding in the hedge. It basically crashed into the hedge and was hidden from the view. Maybe because it's raining I wasn't able to see it. Only 30 horsepower, yeah. And the rest of the map reveals something interesting. Yeah, there is some heavy machine gun guy that was just there as a skeleton force to ambush us as we try to outflank them from behind or something. And artillery spotting was going on pretty heavily in this part of the wood. Yeah, so these guys were, I think, 80mm mortar guys that was able to bring around 50 to 60 shells against us. On the whole, they have 5 artillery spotters, and I think that is exactly the number of artillery spotters we had. Maybe we had 6, but I think we had around 5 that we were able to use periodically. So they were able to bring some heavy fire as well. And some bunkers here too, yeah, there was poised to anybody who was willing to take the less traveled road here, away from the N13. I don't know whether this is a mistake on the Germans' part, or I guess German indirectly means that map designer wanted to punish whoever was trying to exploit the map by not really paying attention to its mission description of using the N13. But it's definitely possible that they were able to, use this road to Carentan. There's also a minefield that, would have targeted the Shermans if they were traveling along this direction. I don't know exactly whether it was a viable solution, but knowing what I do now, seeing all these bunkers, I definitely think that taking the N13 would have been a lot easier, the path that I took, because they had only, they had some bunkers here too, but it was like buffeted by some open ground with some different type of cover that we can make use of. And I don't know, maybe you could use the left flank. Maybe it's something to try. And there was an infantry gun. Interesting. It didn't really put it forward against our infantry as we try to take Carentan, especially in the position where the other German guns were in battle number 7. It was situated a bit far away. It was about to target us, so we were kind of lucky in a way that we evaded this barrage from this gun made for targeting infantry. On the other hand, we are about to face against a whole load of Halftracks inside a hedge there, so here's some truck that was hidden. Interesting, there was like a pathway made for it. And this is the right side that we took. There are the same number of bunkers, wooden bunkers, as you can see, but it's more open space. There's not a lot of forest and other hedges that were funneling us into this particular very narrow point here, as you can see. They would have, with its high position, would have spelled further trouble for us as we try to make our way across that direction. Alright, so this is Carentan. I hope you enjoyed it. So tactical victory. Yeah, so a lot of destruction and a lot of fire and a lot of different, I don't know about tactics, but just want to check whether I would have gotten more points or even better victory if we captured all the bridges. I think bridges, now that I checked, was part of the mission description to capture all the bridges. Like, across this area as well, across the entirety of the canal to Carentan. Then, I forgot to take care of that bridge. So maybe I was a bit, I didn't really take a proper, care of the mission objectives. So I think that probably would have contributed to being limited to tactical victory instead of any other victory. So yeah, I forgot to capture the bridge, and if I were to capture, I'm basically trying to see, like, knowing what I do now, what I would have done to capture the bridge here, using all the, tanks to just hit them on their weak side, behind them, and see if we can just roll down the hill and capture the bridge, and see if we can satisfy that condition that I obviously neglected. So but then in terms of believability or the realistic flow of the battle, it doesn't really make sense, because how would this actually be possible? Like, just flopping down, deploying all these troops right behind the Germans as they're waiting for us across the bridge. It's kind of gaming the system, if you will, and exploiting it. And I don't want to do that, so I'm just showing you what would have happened if I wanted to do that. And this would have happened during the night mission. Yeah, battle number 8. And take care of all these guys first, and then and other bunkers, and see if we can also take care of the artillery spotter by fanning out and tricking them all down. Artillery spotters and cubal wagons and trucks. Just shooting at them from the top of the hill. But as you can see from the side, the bunkers can withstand all these shells. So there's definitely a distinct difference. So always target concrete bunkers from each behind. Curiously, the leftmost Sherman is targeting with a smoke round. I guess he thinks that this is still the 75mm bunker, although it's not. It's a machine gun bunker. Yeah, I think it has. Yeah, I think that leftmost tank is in the range of view from the bunker, so that's why he tried to use a smoke round. Yeah, but always, wooden bunkers, there's no problem, but always target the bunker from the behind, where the door is. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this operation, folks. It's definitely been very enjoyable for me. Next up, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, or when I'm going to be starting the next combat mission. I hope to do something rather random battle, or something entirely removed from the Operation Overlord. I will come back to Overlord, definitely, to try out the winter missions, especially dealing with the Battle of the Bulge. but I'd like to try the African missions or more African missions because I haven't really tried that theater of war. I did plenty of Eastern Front, either from Panzer General 2 or Men of War, so I like to try something different. So yeah, another operation under the belt. I come back with something interesting. Hopefully you'll be there as well. Once again, thank you for watching and take care.